practice needs to lead the way, and people need to find the creative solutions that work for them, that enable people to be able to exercise legal capacity. And then the law can come in and endorse and recognise the support that is required in those situations. But I don't think you can start from what exists in law and try to create something from that basis. I think it's too limiting, and it is unhelpful. Support with decision making as a concept is about enabling someone to be able to make decisions and have control over their lives. And I see that as a form of reasonable accommodation, in that we're doing and supporting and understanding what a person needs and offering that to them so that they're able to make the decisions that are important in their lives and be more self-determined. I think, though, supported decision-making and the exercising of somebody's legal capacity requires more than just reasonable accommodation. It also, it's about, I guess, ensuring that in the decisions that are going to have legally binding consequences for someone, that process of support with decision-making occurs, and thereby enables the person to maintain their legal capacity and therefore perhaps sign a legal contract or open a bank account or own their own property. So I think if we need to think that support with decision making is critical and very important, but I imagine in many instances that should have already been occurring in legislation that exists internationally. I know in Australia, where I'm from, the Disability Act there required services to be providing that kind of support for people, support with their decision making to enable them to have that control of their lives. And in some instances that would be happening, and in others that might have been lacking in the supports and accommodation and services that have been provided to people with disabilities. But I think it's important when we talk about supported decision making that we recognise the support that's being offered should be directed towards the end of enabling people to have legal capacity, and that's a much greater thing and very important. And if we lose sight of that bigger goal, then I think we're diminishing what supported decision making can be for people. Support with decision making can take many forms. That can be support with making information accessible, so ensuring that information's in plain language or perhaps pictorially represented and written at a level that is appropriate for the person to comprehend. It may mean taking extra time to listen to someone and what it is that they're communicating. It may mean being more creative in developing tools around communication so that it can be clearer what it is that a person's preferences might be in relation to a particular decision. Support with decision making may actually be about providing emotional support for someone so that they're someone that becomes highly anxious when they need to make a choice, and supporters know that and are able to provide a number of ways to relieve someone's anxiety and stress. It could just be a bit of diversion, a joke, using humour to get rid of that fear that would then enable someone to be able to make a choice at an important time in their life. Support with decision making may be also providing motivation. It may be that someone's a little disengaged or not aware of what their options are, and through kind of encouragement and building of someone's confidence, that may be what they need to be able to have more control and make decisions in their own life. I think traditionally we've thought about decision making in a very cognitive way, that it's about someone's ability to understand and appreciate consequences, and I think it's much broader what impacts all of our decision making. When I think about my own decision making, how tired I am, whether or not I'm sad, happy, how competent I feel on a given day, all of that changes as a result of the environment that I'm in, how much pressure I'm under, the stress I have, what's going on in my relationships at the time. So my ability to make decisions is impacted by so much that sits outside of myself. And I think when we think about support for decision making, all of those things play into the support someone might need when they come to make a decision. That's part of, I guess, the culture shift in relation to supported decision making. When you come from an approach, or when you approach decision making from that perspective that sees the person as capable, and that your interaction is focused around building a person's capability further, then I think it really perhaps changes the way you might provide support, and the way that you would approach that decision-making process as a supporter. Up until this time, we've had very little understanding of what supported decision-making practice is, and there's been a lot of discussion around supported decision-making that comes from a very philosophical place. People are very compelled by the human rights imperative to develop a mechanism of support for people to be able to enable their legal right to make decisions. So I think that's meant that people have been engaging in providing support with decision making forever. I think if you spoke with any parent of a person with an intellectual disability, I'm sure they've been offering their child support to make decisions for a long time. But I think when we think about providing support with decision making in the context of wanting to enable someone to express their legal capacity, we're asking something specific of that decision making process, and I think it needs to be done with certain things in mind. So I think it's important for us to, and that's why I came to Canada to conduct research into the practice of supported decision making, to try and learn from people that have been doing it here over a very long period of time, to try and unpack in more detail what the process of supported decision making actually looks like, and in the hope that that would then start more conversations around how might we go about this in a more robust way.